Hello everyone, and welcome to this next podcast from the Centre for Sustainable Architecture with Wood at the University of Tasmania. My name's Greg Nolan, and this is the first of a series of podcasts, all of which are going to deal with timber and wood products. That's different types of timber products and wood products that we can use. The first podcast in the series is going to be about timber rounds. That's this podcast. So this is a piece from a log that's been shaved, it's been then cut in half, and it's also been treated. But effectively, this is just half of a round of a tree. The second podcast in the series is going to deal with timber boards that are sawn up and used for structural applications. That includes boards like this one, or softwood boards, radiata pine, and a whole range of material then we're going to use in framing and studs and joists in the structures of buildings. The next podcast in the series, that's the third, is going to deal with sawn boards that are then used for appearance applications. So they might be a square dressed piece, or they might be a moulded section such as this one. The fourth podcast in the series is about timber elements joined together with nail plates. So here we have a timber truss joined together with these nail plate elements that then allow us to make a much bigger and stronger element than we can with just the simple pieces of wood that we start with. And these are used very widely in domestic and commercial buildings. So our fourth podcast is going to be about using nail plate material and explaining how they work. Our last podcast is going to be about other engineered wood products such as plywood, LVL and glue laminated timber. So there's 5 podcasts in the series. This is the first. I hope you enjoy them.
This is the first wood product that we want to talk about. I'm on a harvesting site for radiata pine, and these are radiata pine logs that have been harvested sometime during this morning. You can see we've got a round log that's of a certain length, and we could actually then use that log in a particular application. The grading of logs in the bush then makes a big difference when it comes to the customer. This customer here is after logs that are going to be used for utility poles. Therefore, straightness is a key issue, as is diameter. And these ones have all been supplied to use as utility poles, and before they go off for treatment, they've then been left outside to dry. That is to take as much of the moisture out of the perimeter areas of the material as possible so that the treatment process is more efficient. Logs from the forest can be used as they are. However, some of them have a very low durability, so they can then be treated, which means chemicals are introduced into the wood, which then increase their service life considerably and open up a whole range of applications that the log would previously have been unsuitable for. These are hardwood logs, and they've been treated to be used as utility poles for electricity. These are radiata pine poles. This is the material that's come out of the forest, and it's gone through a machine which has then shaped them into this nice cylindrical shape. This material has fairly low durability, and if we want it to last for quite a long time outside, we're going to have to protect it, and to protect it, we'll introduce materials into the wood which are then toxic to insects and fungi. Insects and fungi are the two things that will break this wood down in service and shorten its service life. These are what the logs look like when they've been treated. Chemicals have been introduced into the wood which then increase its durability, which means it's going to last a lot longer. These ones are all destined for the agricultural industry, where they'll generally be used in fencing. You can treat timber to different levels. That means you put more of the preservative chemicals into the wood if you want to put it into a more hazardous situation. These logs here are very small logs. They've been recovered from the pine harvesting operations, and they've been treated to H6. That's the most extreme hazard class we've got. So these are going to be used in the oyster industry, and these will support the trays on which the oysters are grown. So these poles will be driven into the sand, and then the other material then be laid across the top of them. Because they're H6, they're then treated to resist the bugs and other things that would eat this timber in marine environments.
So remember, a timber round is either a pole that we've got from the forest, or it's a pole that has been shaved then to form a cylindrical shape. With many timber poles, when we use them, we're going to have to treat certain parts of the material to make it resistant to decay and to insects. We can treat it to different levels for a range of different applications. And then those applications can be in agriculture, in industry, or in building. So using timber poles is a very, very efficient way of using a very cheap and efficient timber element that has minimal intervention, minimal change. So remember, this is the first podcast in the series, and in following podcasts we're going to be looking at sawn boards for a range of uses, nail-plated products, and engineered wood products such as plywood. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next podcast.